Hey guys, welcome to This Is Not a Date podcast. I'm Keith.
I'm Jade.
And I'm Callison.
In this episode, we learned that Claire gets proposed to, and the guys might have a second chance at love.
Ooh.
Let's get into it. So there was a lot of episode last night, 2 hours of a lot of the same thing. So I decided to bring it in my own hands to make a 1-minute version of what actually happened last night.
Okay.
For the people who don't really want to waste 2 hours of their life.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Here's a supercut for you.
What's up?
We need to talk. Congratulations, you've just blown up the Bachelorette. Did you guys talk at all before the show?
Not one bit.
There's not going to be a cocktail party tonight. Dale, can I talk to you outside real quick?
Why is he talking to Dale outside?
The reason there's no cocktail party and there's no rose ceremony. Claire wants to spend time with you tonight.
I'm so falling in love with you. What do you think?
It would blow me away if he slept over there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Claire wouldn't do that this early in the game.
Did you tell him you love him?
Yes, absolutely. When are we doing this?
Tonight.
You guys are all such amazing guys.
So you're in love with this girl?
Yeah.
And she's going to be waiting for a proposal. There's something I need to tell you.
What?
We are so proud of you. Dale got down on one knee and proposed to Claire.
Honestly, I wasn't invested.
This journey would continue.
Honestly, wasn't invested.
I didn't even catch that.
That was Bennett.
Tasha.
Oh my God. She's so pretty.
She's gorgeous. She just sparkles. Literally.
That was the worst part of the entire show. The to be continued.
Oh.
I was waiting the entire show for it just to get the Tasha's part.
I know. Same.
When it started, the entire episode, I was like, oh, this is happening fast. Chris is already talking to Claire about cutting this quits. And 2 hours later, it's like, okay, can we move on to Tasha?
Where's Tayshia?
Yeah.
I thought she was gonna come
Finally.
out.
And then to be continued.
To be continued. Okay.
We did see a flash of next week's episode of her.
I try not to actually look at that too much.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't need any more spoilers.
That's usually
but,
how I go about it too. But
so-
I did watch it for a little more material.
What's the first thing that happened in this episode today?
So, the guys were really upset that she didn't give out a group date rose.
Oh yeah, so they started on that.
Yeah.
I'm completely I'm over it already.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty much like, guys, just give up.
They start out suspicious though, and that's a theme of the whole kind of show, because they're suspicious. They know, they're not stupid. They weren't born yesterday, and so they kind of know what's going on, what's coming.
Right.
And I think that's why they added it.
There's still a theme from last episode where these guys still think they have a chance.
Yeah.
The entire time.
Some people.
Yeah.
So
Blake.
optimistic.
And Kenny said something like, she's not giving any of us a chance or an opportunity, and why are we even here?
Is Kenny the boy band manager?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I
Classic
refer to
Kenny.
him as that?
No, you can say Kenny the boy band manager. Before we move on too much about this episode, let's talk about the previous episode where we talked about the pants and how you had 46 size, and we're like, wow, that's huge. Well, it turns out, thanks to the comments, we got it's a European size.
I should have known that.
Yeah.
So
Makes abroad for
46
forever.
is like a 30, and
Yeah.
so I'm
That
larger
makes a
than
lot
him,
more sense.
which means since I'm larger than him, I can be a football player if I wanted to.
You could.
Okay.
Dream big.
I have the technology.
We have the technology. Okay, so Chris comes in, talks to Claire. We saw that as a preview for last week's episode. In last week's episode. And there was a lot of, I think that was probably one of the more dramatic moments of this episode, because I think Chris, as much as he wants to be happy for her, had to go through some hard things that everyone was kind of wondering about, which included the history of Claire and Dale, and whether or not they had been in communication before the show. So I believe he used a few choice words, a few cuss words even, saying, don't F with me, things like that.
What's up?
We need to talk.
Okay.
Don't.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk at all before the show?
Not one bit.
And
He was like, let's be
trying to get her to
serious and honest.
shoot it straight. And I don't know, I believed her when she said that she didn't have any contact before. But then again, there was a preview at the end this time showing maybe that might not be the case. We don't know.
Yeah, they're definitely teasing that she might be
she
actually
was lying. Maybe she was lying.
I don't know.
But in the moment, she sounded
if you ever watch other people who are liars, I guess, on like other reality shows, like, you know, they're clearly lying because of past dialogue kind of thing.
Yeah.
They always speak really fast, and they always like do something like, I swear on this kind of thing, or I swear on that. They always do
Really?
things that make you seem like you're really serious, and they talk really fast. And it's like,
Is that what she did?
she did. She was like, blah, 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 blah. I swear on my father's like, or grave or something like that.
Yeah.
Gosh,
So,
it's
like,
so serious
she
though,
did-
to
so
swear on
like-
your father's
Yeah.
grave.
Right.
That's what I
Wow.
thought too.
So that's what.
But maybe it was like a
but
diversion.
that being said, like chronic liars will do the same exact thing.
Maybe she was
man.
doing this behind her back,
Maybe.
But
crossing her fingers.
so, but that's what makes liars good. But she might not be a liar at all. It's just that liars are mimicking what she
Exactly.
would do as an honest person.
Yeah. Hopefully an honest person. We
Hopefully
will
she's
find out
a-
next
Yeah.
next
We'll
week on
find
that.
out.
But
Maybe.
Yeah, so Chris kind of roasts her, trying to get the truth out. She says, you know, we didn't, and then essentially he does that key phrase, "You've blown up the Bachelorette.
Congratulations, you've just blown up the Bachelorette.
We can't
Yeah,
move
and
forward
totally
anymore. What do you
made
want to
it-
do?" Yeah.
Totally made it seem like that something happened.
Oh, yeah.
that wasn't good. But when you blow up the Bachelorette,
I feel like he was given a script just to say these key words, like
Yeah.
the one at the very end as well when he came. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to
Yeah.
that. But he definitely had a little bit of like a dramatic script. This
I don't know.
episode.
You know, like you have like the dad jokes.
Yeah.
I think he just like Chris just has a bunch of those phrases
Just ready to
embedded in his ego
Yeah.
Yeah.
of things to say that you can just pull out of nowhere.
when they were talking and Claire was like, I feel like Dale's my match, and she just starts like crying. She gets emotional about it. And then Chris kind of like wiped a tear, but it didn't even look like he was crying.
Oh,
He's like,
So
this
he was
is
like-
what I'm supposed to do. Okay, here we go.
So-
It was like a fake tear.
I didn't even catch that.
I didn't
That's
catch
hilarious.
that, but watching this back and creating the supercut that I made of the episode, watching Chris's facial expressions,
Yes.
it's like I literally want to cut that in with like my conversation with Chris kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey Chris, and Chris is just like
Yeah.
looking like that, or like he's just making random facial expressions
Yes.
the entire time, what we can use for anything in the future. Like literally every facial expression that Chris made could have been taken from any point of that episode.
Yeah,
and just
memeable,
thrown in there.
gifable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Or like just re-edit Chris's facial expressions in different TV shows or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I can see that
Oh,
happening.
Chris.
Yeah.
Good old Chris. So after that happens with Chris and Claire, Chris goes to tell the guys really what's going on, or not tell the guys, but Poole.
She told the guys that Claire wanted to cancel the cocktail party,
Yeah, so
and
not
then
really tell them the
and
truth
then
yet.
the rose ceremony as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being
So threw a bomb in there,
And they were like, "What?"
and
Okay.
then pulled Dale aside. Yeah.
the guys have just been like on edge for like days now,
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
They've
and
been
no one's giving them
suspicious.
anything.
Yeah.
And the guys, they don't see that Claire has already made up her mind. They're all like, at this point, they're all like,
There's some
"Why?
hopefuls. There
Why?"
are a
And
few
it's like,
really diehard hopefuls.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the
sad
guys
to
are
see.
kind of being a little bit more logical
Yeah,
about
like-
it. Like, okay, yeah, she's into Dale,
done.
obviously, but
Didn't we get from the supercut where Bennett said, I forget the phrase now, but I wasn't even that into her.
I wasn't even into it.
I
let's
didn't
go.
even
Let's move it
realize
on. Fresh
he
start.
said
Yeah.
that.
I appreciate
That's
that
really
from
funny.
Bennett. It was
He was
real.
trying.
I mean,
He was trying hard though for when he was
at the
there.
beginning, but I think
Yeah.
he took a hint. A lot of those guys
Yeah.
couldn't take a hint.
I think once Claire stopped talking to him at that rose ceremony and was like, "Tell me more about Dale," I think they got checked out at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the smarter ones. I mean, Bennett was probably the smartest of the whole group, but not to say that's what made him, die down on his affections. But I think he was able to recognize, hey, like, probably not going to go anywhere. 16 other guys here, focusing on Dale. Like, my odds aren't great.
Yeah.
They took Dale pretty early on, and they didn't really have their date till the evening. So I wonder if they were missing some day portion of the date or not, or if they just went straight to the dinner.
Maybe,
Yeah.
or maybe it was in the afternoon when Chris came over.
True. I'm really bad at like telling time on this show.
I know,
Yeah.
same.
They don't make it easy. They definitely don't make it easy.
And after Dale and Chris talked, like when he pulled him aside and he was like, Claire wants to talk to you, wants to spend the day with you. And then he said he doesn't understand
Yeah.
what all this is about.
Like, what's going on?
Right. It took him.
He's like, I don't understand.
He still thinks he's in a competition.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Like,
was the weirdest
for
part.
the like almost
didn't click
until
with
like he
him.
proposes, he still like pretty much thinks that
He's like,
He's
so
like,
the other guys
so
are
I'm the
here,
front
are they
runner."
not here?
And I know this now. I know you love me. I'm the front runner. But all the other guys are going to be in it. Like he just didn't clock it, I guess. But eventually, I think he did once he proposed.
I
Once
think
he
he got the
wandered
memo.
up to there. Yeah.
Once Claire said, or Chris told him that she broke up with the rest of the guys. That's where I think he got the memo.
Yeah.
So after that, Chris says that Dale has a date with Claire. That's part of the conversation.
So they go on a date,
go on a date.
and she says she loves him. And
it's very cute. Very cute.
She's worried that he may not feel the same way. So she's like struggling if she should tell him or not.
Yeah, so I've been like struggling with, because they said I love him, but in the show it says I'm falling in love with you.
Oh yeah.
But like,
what's the difference?
But hold on, there's a difference apparently. But anyways, so Chris, though, being the smart guy he is, he needs to get clarification. So when he talks to Claire, or talks to Dale, he says the words like, "So you said you're falling in love with her or him?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then so Chris follows up with, "So you love her?" kind of thing. And he's like, "Yeah." So he follows up with the words because it's not really clear.
I thought it was because they had that time together without the cameras on at night.
I was thinking the same thing too.
When he said, "I love you," versus "I'm falling in love with you."
I was thinking the same thing too, but they didn't really. They just said that when he asked Dale again, he says, "Yeah, I said I'm falling in love with her."
Yeah.
He never really said,
Yeah.
"I love her."
I don't think it was shown on camera.
until Chris asked him.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed, like with Claire, is that she has like an attitude, like a different attitude when she's around Dale, or like a different personality, where she gets like super like fairy tale like, and she does that. She says really in a specific way. It's like yeah.
Well, it's like the difference. Well, she treats
I don't even know how she does it.
Yeah, I know what
it's
you
like
mean.
uncomfortable to hear her say it.
Yeah.
Well, what's happening is
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Where she goes,
Yeah.
she treats the rest of the guys like preschoolers, and then she treats Dale like the hot substitute teacher who
my
comes
gosh.
into her
Such a pedestal.
class.
And I hope that continues. I really do, but you can't help but think that that's just like young puppy love. Like it looks so much like young puppy love.
Yeah.
Real long-term love doesn't always look like that. And hopefully it will last and, develop into a more stable love.
We saw a little bit of them at the kitchen at the very end, if you saw that part.
Yeah. But I doubt it's been that long since filming that was shot.
Yeah, I wonder how long it's been. Another thing during their date, they kind of were relating to each other that her dad proposed to her mom after meeting her for the first time, similar to how Dale and Claire are, kind of how they like saw each other for the first time and like kind of fell in love. And then both of their dads hitchhiked to see their moms.
I thought that was crazy.
That's, like, what are the odds of that happening?
And talking about it right then and there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like hitchhiking was so common back then. It's like
really?
the hitchhiking was like today's Uber.
Did your parents do that?
No, but
I have no idea if my parents have.
Or maybe like how old's Dale again?
Uber's
31.
pretty much
31. Okay. Well,
Uber's
two
pretty much
different
like
generations.
hitchhiking, but you pay money.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very true. Very true. But I thought that was very cute that they both were able to share that.
Yeah.
And then also,
They relate that their parents, both have
Passed away.
parents that have passed away.
yeah.
And his sister's sick and her mom's sick.
Yeah. That's
So-
definitely a deep bond that is going to take them far, I think. Unfortunate, but yeah, definitely a deeper bond than people who haven't gone through that. It's great that, I lost my father, and like whenever I come across other people who've lost their parents, like it's just a whole different connection. And I think that's probably what she liked when she saw his Instagram profile and all that stuff that developed into, he understands me, he gets this, we can be deep with each other. It became more real for her, I think, for that reason.
Yeah.
In that Instagram profile, it came up a handful of times this episode, asking about did they talk beforehand. That came up like 3 times, and you guys are suspicious of it. We talked about this earlier, but
Yeah. Yes, but then she says she swore on her dad's grave, and that's kind of
That
serious.
kind of-
so it's like, would she
That
say
put it
that?
over the edge for me.
I
But then at
mean-
the end, you just double guess yourself because
Yeah.
they
Right.
made it seem like it
we'll find out next
could be,
episode, maybe.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't really care. Just bring on Tayshia.
Tayshia, come on. Let's go.
During their date, though, they kind of went back to the guys at the house, and they were all like, it was Kenny and Blake Moynes, and they were sitting in the pool, and they were wearing the same exact outfit.
Didn't notice.
I don't know if you noticed.
I didn't notice that.
They were wearing like orange shorts and like a gray t-shirt or something.
Oh, because Kenny's a boy band manager, so he's boy band managing the house now.
Yeah, I guess so. Still doing his job.
He's recruiting them.
Yeah.
But they were,
They should
I
a
feel
lot
like
of
the
them.
guys were all like so drunk at the house
Oh, you
and they
think
were
so?
just
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
Because they just did not make
But
any
it definitely hyped up the episode. Like it gave it some substance because, without that, you take that out. It's just all like, oh, it's all good. It's all great. You have nothing to worry about. Dale and Claire are going to be perfect together. But you have this side, these side comments coming from, Blake and the other guy that are saying, they're not right for each other. Dale is going to be too stressed out by this. Like they're the ones that are second guessing you as you're watching the show, which I appreciated because it wasn't an easy win. It wasn't a surefire thing.
Yeah, they were very much debating whether or not he would propose or not.
Yeah.
And I like how funny it was that Dale was the last one to know that he was going to propose.
He's like, oh, yeah, I'm doing it. Okay.
It's tonight. Oh, okay. When they were so like Dale seems uncomfortable the entire time that Claire is like, I'm like professing her love to him. And then all of a sudden he says he feels the same way. And I was
Same.
shocked.
Yeah.
I did not
Really?
think he was going to feel the same way. I thought he was going to be
Yeah.
like I care about you and I want to get to know you better, but I don't think I'm there yet, but I want to get there with you. I thought that's maybe what would have happened.
Yeah.
So it's like hard for me to get there with them.
Do you
in that
ever like
relationship.
watch their really intently watch their facial expressions, like as one person saying another thing,
It's-
and try to read them? I was reading the opposite too. Like I was reading that Dale was like, like
Yeah, so
I appreciate
Yeah,
it
he
because he
looked
wasn't really
uncomfortable.
smiling too much. He
Let's-
he looked a little uncomfortable.
let's
Yeah.
jump to the perspective of an editor. His
That's
facial
true.
expressions could have been pulled from any moment in that conversation.
Very
Yeah.
true. It
That
probably
is
wasn't
very
even
which is
true.
kind of
lined
like
up.
very tricky, and you never really know what's happening. So
Smoke
unless
and
you're
mirrors,
seeing all
y'all.
this at
Smoke and
one
mirrors.
time, you're not really actually getting the genuine reaction.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, I take back what I said.
So like that's
could've
so they
completely
could
been a lie.
literally be putting his facial expressions
And they probably
to make
did.
it look like
You're
he
right.
was concerned about her conversation.
They
just
probably
on
did do
purpose.
that.
Yeah, that's definitely something to do.
They did have a super awkward kiss though at
Didn't
the dinner table. It was
notice.
like
I was surprised he didn't pause at 10% and she didn't get offended.
it was a very weird. I don't think she would care. I think she would go the full 100% on Dale. I don't think he needs to do anything. She was just happy. But I thought you didn't see the kiss at the dinner table.
I saw it.
Oh,
I just
I
didn't
saw
really
it.
notice it as anything special.
Something happened. It was like someone get the other. They were kind of off with each other.
I
It
was
was awkward. To
I
watch.
know I was just relating it back to her kiss that she failed on.
Do you know what I really thought was awkward was the end of the date. Whenever they went to listen to the singers. Let me just say this. Lovely singers.
They're from Listening to Your Heart.
Really, I didn't even know
They're
that.
the winners. I didn't
know
see
that.
the full season.
I don't know
but
singers.
You didn't. They won.
But
They won. I knew that.
Yeah.
they were excellent singers, but just the moment of like walking up real close to it, and it's just you and them. It's just 4 people, and 2 of those people are singing to the other. I don't know. Like I would feel like weird about that. I'd be like, "Thank you for singing at me." I don't know.
They just walk
Yeah,
away.
I don't know. I just
I
always
see ya.
felt like that was just a weird thing. They made it look okay, but I was kind of giggling to myself. I'm like, I would just feel like that was so awkward if that were me.
I like the singers.
Amazing singers.
They're so good.
No doubt about that.
And they're
I
such a cute
thought
couple.
they should have followed them though to the El Presidente suite.
Oh yeah. Imagine they just slowly go behind him. and
Yeah,
just like,
I want the singers to follow and just be outside their window, still singing.
When they were like out there with the singers, what Chris and Bree, or
I forget their names.
I know she's Bree, but I
don't know their
cannot
names.
remember his name.
I'll have their names in the little.
Okay.
in the thing.
I had a dream once upon a time.
When they were there and they were dancing, like Claire is so theatrical and just fairy tale like
Yeah.
when she's with Dale. It's like it's cute, but
On
it's
cloud 9.
it's uncomfortable to watch.
is a little.
but it's cute for them.
Is it uncomfortable to watch because you're just not really into the relationship?
I guess so.
If you're like into the relationship, you'd be like,
I
wow,
think
that's
I'm
the
into
cutest
the
thing ever.
relationship,
So
but
Yeah.
I just think it moves so fast, and then it's like, go here, go here, go here. We're going to this new like. I mean, that's kind of how the episode went. It was so rushed. It was like, okay, we're having a date, impromptu singers, impromptu.
Well,
come to my house and we'll sleep together.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about that first. So
Yeah.
impromptu date, it was actually probably meant to be someone else's one-on-one date.
Maybe, yeah.
Because the singers are already there. They had to be quarantined.
Yeah.
So they still had them like, okay, well, we have you here.
You don't
We
think
have a
they just
date.
had him on standby?
We had a schedule for tomorrow, but how about right now?
Yeah. Yeah, that very well
Sure.
could have happened.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about her taking Dale home with her?
It's like a fantasy suite, right?
Yeah.
El
yeah.
Presidente.
An unspoken
I think that was just her
fantasy
suite, right?
Yeah, that was her
This is her
suite.
house. Yeah. Her little.
Yeah. Well, all the guys were in disbelief.
Oh.
Oh yeah, they were
the
like,
clips-
"Where's
the
Dale?"
clips
So
in the face.
where's Dale? And then the one guy's like,
She wouldn't do that.
she wouldn't
do that.
I think it would blow me away if he slept over there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Claire wouldn't do that this early in the game. Like the type of person she is, I don't think she would like do an overnight with Dale and like take that intimacy to the next level.
I know
She's too classy. And then wait to see like flash to this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like she wouldn't
Yeah.
do that. She's too something.
The Claire that I know
Yeah, the Claire-
wouldn't do that this
Oh
quickly.
God.
flash to her like getting after it in bed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Those guys can't be jealous. Like none of them have a relationship with her.
They don't have a relationship with her. They're all like really nice people though.
They should
They all
have their own
such high faith in
podcast.
Claire.
That's basically what they're doing. Is like,
They have so much good faith in Claire.
yeah. So the
Claire
sleepover, little
Yeah.
sleepover thing. They wake up the next morning, have some pillow talk.
It was like really zoomed in on their faces too.
Yeah.
They had, like
What?
really awkward angles and zoomed in on their faces.
Oh yeah.
was like,
you could
please
see,
stop.
you could tell it was real. Like even Claire's makeup was like probably like
And
next day.
that's
makeup.
probably why they're so zoomed in because they didn't want to actually show Claire's makeup. They were just like trying to like
maybe
brighten
that
on
was
her
it.
face.
Yeah. And they definitely, put. I could tell she was wearing like a tank top or something like that.
Oh really?
Not that they just walk in like 3, 2, 1, like
All right, we're here.
yeah, they're like whatever condition you're in, we're just gonna film that.
So I guess after Dale leaves, Claire goes and speaks to the guys and has to let them know that she's breaking up with them and she's gonna move forward with Dale.
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty ballsy of her. She didn't have to do that, and I
No.
think the guys knew that. But
and some of the guys did seem disappointed.
of course, yeah.
Kenny had some stuff to say.
Oh, Kenny
the
had-
boy
He
band
wants you to
manager.
A ton to
apologize,
say,
right?
yeah.
So you should apologize for faking it when you should have admitted you were in love with Dale after the first night, because that's kind of what it looks like.
And she was like, "Excuse me, I'm not going to apologize."
Kenny had a whole life plan for Claire.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just crushed his. He was shocked.
Kenny was one of the few people who was actually her age.
Really?
Yeah, he's 39.
Oh.
He is.
Yeah,
He doesn't
know
look
that.
39.
yeah, he's a
I like his
young
little
looking
cute little
39.
button nose. He's got a nice little nose. I noticed that this episode. I don't know.
Didn't notice.
Yeah, didn't
Yeah.
didn't collect that. But who was the guy that said, "I feel like you need to apologize"?
I think
That
that
was
was Kenny.
Kenny.
That was
Yeah.
that was Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
then
think
she
I
was like,
confused Kenny and
I'll
Blake, just then.
apologize for, wasting your time, but I'm not going to apologize for
Yeah.
love or something.
I think that
like
was a
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Good
so she said it
political
twice,
move
but she
there.
says, "I will apologize for this. I will apologize
Yeah.
for that," but she never does apologize.
She
just,
doesn't.
She just says that
yeah.
she
That
will.
was crappy. that was
I
cop
will
out.
apologize for love.
I'll apologize for it. Well, not now, but
Someday I
would.
will.
Yeah.
Maybe on Instagram or Twitter.
Most of them said that they wished her the best and
Yeah.
and they were happy for her and yeah.
It's funny
But they
that-
were disappointed, but they were just happy
Yeah.
for her.
The ones that you would think would be as like butthurt to say that comment, I didn't think Kenny would be the one to say it.
I didn't think so either.
I was a little bit
I
surprised
could see
by
Blake
that.
Moynes, which he kind of agreed with Kenny. I think they're buddies.
Yeah, maybe.
So
Maybe.
I mean, I think someone
Blake
just
Moynes
needed
is
to.
such a big baby.
You think so?
Oh, yeah,
The
I
way
agree.
he always does this, like
Sorry, it wasn't Kenny's
looks
eyes.
up,
It
looks
was
at the
Blake's,
puppy
by
eyes
the
kind
way.
of things. He's like, "Yeah, I'm sad, but it's not that sad."
Oh, his reaction when he found
Yeah.
out, he was like,
Yeah. And then he's like, I even bought a book about Alzheimer's.
"Oh yeah."
He did? I
I was
didn't-
like,
how did I miss
"Bless
that?"
him. He needs to be able to have
Didn't-
a second
Okay,
chance."
and
Yeah.
Do you read it?
did you actually read it?
What'd you get from it?
Like people buy books and then they just put on their coffee table to make them look smart.
Yeah,
That's probably what he did.
got an encyclopedia.
Yeah. But yeah, I was proud of her. I think she did the right thing by actually, being there in person and saying her piece and, letting him know like that. I think they appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and they
for
did
the
that
most part.
somewhat early on too. Didn't drag out that long.
No.
Yeah. And then Blake, of course, is still predicting that she's going to get hurt, that it's too soon.
Mm-hmm.
All that. It was Blake and Kenny, yeah, for most of those scenes.
Kind of, yeah. So the next question I have is, we're jumping to the end all of a sudden, but do you think the Claire called it quits that day specifically because Tayshia was not ready out of quarantine?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Because at what point did Tayshia get into quarantine? To make her
Probably
ready.
when they started, because I'm sure Claire is communicating with her producers,
Mm-hmm.
like that she feels like.
How were they on top of it?
That's actually a really good point. I think.
I don't know.
Wow. And then what would
I
they
would
tell
love to
Tayshia?
know.
What would they tell Tayshia to get her there? To say, you're
Like,
the maybe bachelorette if this all blows up?
Yeah, like if you want to quarantine for 2 weeks, you might have
a shot at this.
have a
yeah.
position to be the.
And like, so for example, like maybe Claire would have cut it quits earlier if she had the green light to do so.
Yeah.
And like now that they have the green light, like Tayshia's ready. Now is the time for you to, okay, we're going to call it. Now you're ready to call it quits. You can't call it quits until the 14 days are up.
Do you think that's why Chris like led that conversation and came and talked to Claire that way instead of just letting it ride out? Because I don't think Claire would have gone to the producers and said, hey, like I can't do this anymore right then and there. There's a reason why Chris came to Claire to pry those answers out and get her to admit that it's only Dale that's in her heart.
I feel like they probably had this conversation before,
Maybe.
or with other
Yeah.
producers or whatnot, and then now they're just kind of making it on camera.
Yeah, solidifying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on.
So what happened after Claire tells the group?
Chris came to visit Dale, and Chris tells him that. So Claire broke up with all the guys, and he like laughed about it. He
Yeah,
thought
he
it
was
was
like,
hilarious.
Claire broke up with all the other guys today.
Show's still not going on.
Yeah. Wait, so
Is there new guys coming in?
yeah.
I saw this meme where it's like Dale, when he thought that he was going on The Bachelorette just so he could get out of modeling at Party City. And then it's like the proposal night, and it was like a funny picture of like, it was just a funny
I
meme.
love those pictures of
Yeah.
Dale. I can relate to those so
Like-
hard.
I need some Party City modeling in my future.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll get you going. Okay, so after that,
Chris-
he's trying to figure out, like, still kind of trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
What's the next
he's-
move? What's the next step?
And so Chris tells Dale that tonight's basically proposal night,
Which is huge.
which is would be the next step
Yeah.
now that Claire has chosen.
So I feel like if this was any other couple, they would have kept the love story going, and like even though it's like I don't know, I feel like they would have extended, like, let's do the 7 weeks or 8 weeks it is, and we're gonna keep their love story going. They're gonna go on dates. They're gonna do one-on-ones. They're gonna do the things. If this was maybe it wasn't COVID and they actually could do things, like we're gonna keep your love story going, and while we're actually doing Tayshia's at the same time. So we're kind of like, here's
maybe.
them doing their thing, following their story, and then also going back to the rest of the guys.
Yeah, I feel like the budget was
Interesting.
definitely cut.
The budget
But they're
is
like,
cut.
no, let's just do the proposal now and get this over with.
Yeah. And I think it was funny. So going back to whenever Chris was talking to Dale about kind of what's going on, what's the next step, before Chris got there, I believe Dale was talking to the camera, talking to the producer, whoever's asking him questions and getting that footage. He said something along the lines of, I think we're on the same page, no stress, no pressure, and just exploring where it goes. Like he's still in the mindset of, we're going through this process, we've got a few weeks, no stress, no pressure. And then he's told, hey, you're going to propose tonight. Like, this
By
has
the way.
happened.
Yeah.
I think that must have been so shocking for her. I mean, yes, he loves her, but that must have been a huge shock that it's all happening so fast.
You know where
Yeah.
there's a phrase like, do it for the gram, or like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like.
Do it for the batch.
Yeah.
Do it for the badge, yeah.
I wouldn't do this normally, but hey.
Do it for the badge. I ain't going to do it. But yeah, so what was after that? She was alone at the kind of altar area.
Oh, sorry. Yes, and then Chris came up to her and he was like,
Yeah, this is super
I have
dramatic.
to tell you something.
So this like,
We're so
That
happy.
was 100% scripted, or it was just a dad joke, like you said.
yeah, no, like it reminded me of like a kid getting called to the principal's office, and they're like, Kimberly,
way.
come to the principal's office, and they're
Yeah.
like, she gets there, you did a great job on your test last week, keep it up, the good work.
There's something I need to tell you.
What?
We are so proud of you.
100%.
But it's like so stressful until you get there.
But you could tell her heart sunk when he
well, because
walked out
Chris
there.
is doing his thing.
She was making so many different faces. Like, should I smile? Are we sad? Are we happy? Are we sad? Are we happy?
But did you see Chris's face though? He's like just straight
Pretty
face.
stern, yeah.
He has the same face for everything. So he's
Yeah.
never.
It's
you
hard
can
to
never
read him.
I think he has Botox. That's probably why.
I think it's
probably.
just maybe that's probably true.
So he like has no
True.
eyebrow.
But I think it's part of his character as well,
Maybe.
where he's showing no expression for
Part
the
of his
show.
appeal. Yeah, because
Because they don't want to know.
you can't read him
Yeah.
easy.
It might be good news. It might be bad news. You're never gonna know until he says something.
Until next episode.
Yeah, until to be continued.
To be continued, yep. So he walks up there, says, good luck, we're proud of you. And so she stands there waiting for her guy, for Dale to come. And he says, I'm going to go call Dale. And so Dale comes. They both look so sweet going
they
down
both
there
looked
and
good.
meeting together. And at first, she didn't know if it was going to be one of those moments like in other past Bachelor or not episodes, seasons, where he goes and talks to her about why he can't, why he's, going to pull out of it because it's too soon or whatnot. And again, Dale is really hard to read as well. Like his facial expressions are not like smiley happy like hers is. Of course, they're different people, but he's pretty, not stern, but serious looking, intent.
Yeah, Claire's very, like I said before, she's very theatrical. And
Yeah.
You can read her no matter what.
yeah, fairy tale, like the sparkle in her eye
Yeah.
and like all this.
Like
I agree.
Claire will be like, I'm having so much fun. And Dale's like, same.
Yeah,
Yeah. Same.
Same.
I agree.
100%.
And occasionally I'll flash a big smile like, wow. And then it's just
Yes.
back to,
That was amazing.
yeah. So they have their little moment and I thought it was going to be a lot more awkward than it was because it was so quick. Like, okay, we're doing this. It's on camera. All right, your turn, my turn. It was pretty fluid. And
Yeah,
I think that
it was
was
natural.
because there's a connection there and because they're just able to speak. They're on that level now, I guess, because they've had all that intimacy and that time to kind of get to that next step.
He had a good speech, I think, too. But let's jump back a few minutes where Chris calls Neil Lane.
Oh,
And-
yeah, I forgot about
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And he's like,
The ring.
He's
yo,
like FaceTiming
hey,
him.
I need like a ring like
Oh, he's
today.
like, crap.
I need to get the ring today. Today.
I'm with my kids. I have soccer.
So
you just never know.
let's go conspiracy. Do you really think they were able to get that ring to him? Because we saw a ring, okay?
Yeah.
But was that actually like a ring that was prepared, or was that
That
like
was a ring.
As I'm thinking, this is my thought. Okay, I'm thinking that one of the producers has a really nice ring. They put it in a Neil Lane box they already had, and they gave it to Dale to give to Claire.
You think?
We need to check this on Claire's Instagram to see if we still have that same ring on her finger,
That's a good point.
or if it was
Yeah.
actually just a borrowed ring for the show. Because how quick could they really get that ring up there?
Yeah. And then the fact that they didn't have that, like the ring choosing
Process.
process.
But the only thing that makes me debate my debate is that they actually had the ring box that said Neil Lane in it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they actually had it in that actual box written there.
Okay.
But still,
You don't think that they just had some just
They
like,
might. They
on
probably
set?
do.
Yeah,
But
they
still,
probably
like-
did. And they probably knew that this was going to happen because they
But-
were going to make them propose. So they had to have a backup.
but
like,
have you
weeks
seen
ago.
such a big
Or-
ring on this show before?
That I've never
It was a
seen that big
huge
of a
ring.
ring.
Yeah, and it seems really like uncomfortably big.
If I
Yeah.
was ever on the show, I would hope my husband, like my future husband, would pick the biggest one. Like, just get the value. Get the value out of this. I don't know. I'm
Do you think that
frugal.
before the Bachelorette goes on, she kind of tells Neil Lane like the style she likes?
Possibly. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So she's like, I don't care as long as it's
Massive.
Really big.
It doesn't fit in my pocket when I put my hand in it.
Sounds
Like,
so uncomfortable.
Yeah. But yeah, gorgeous ring. Gorgeous
oh
ring.
yeah, it's huge.
And then, so what happens after that? They have their kind of happily ever after. Is that when Tayshia comes?
So yeah, what happens right after the proposal? They propose.
Wait.
They're like, this isn't
We're
over.
talking to the guys again. Okay, Jade.
Okay, so when he proposes, she goes, Claire Moss?
No, yeah, I like
thought that
that
was so funny that she
Claire
said
Moss.
that.
Yeah.
So,
name.
Like-
Strong name.
right after the proposal, I think we go to Chris talking to the guys again.
Yeah. This isn't over.
Oh, this is fun. I like this part when Chris talks to the guys, because Chris is like, yo, guys, what's up? Dale just like proposed to Claire, and Claire said yes.
Oh, yeah.
And the guys are like,
That was when they were really
that's where
floored.
Blake Moynes was like,
like,
and
if there's a table to flip, they.
Oh, yeah. Flipping tables.
And then Jason was like the one that had the one-on-one date where he expressed his demons.
I felt bad for
I did
him.
feel bad for him.
I feel
really
like he didn't get a lot of airtime about how he felt about all of that until that moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's actually a really good point. Like he did,
Like-
that was the first girl he opened up to. since forever.
Yeah, and he's never talking to Tayshia about this ever again.
You don't think so?
Maybe he will. But
Tayshia will never know.
Nobody leaves. No.
What was it? Is it Joe, the anesthesiologist? But he finally got like airtime today.
Oh, yeah.
The show. He was actually.
did.
They
He was in the
actually gave him-
background. Just, he did
He
get
was
airtime,
talking
you're right.
for once, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad he got some airtime.
Yeah.
I hope we hear
Good
more
job
from
for
him with Tayshia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they kept giving Blake Moynes airtime.
A lot of airtime.
Yeah,
for
because he
Blake.
had a lot to say. And that's probably all I had.
about the Dale
And he
drama.
Just keeps acting like he had such a good relationship with Claire.
Yeah.
And I mean, we didn't get to see their relationship, so I just feel like there was no relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Well, in the early days, it did seem like he had the strongest second connection in
Yeah.
the sense of her being so happy with him breaking up conversations and such.
But
And
it was
stealing her
almost
for a
like
second.
he was like the
He was.
I don't know, like the gay best friend. I'm like, she's like, oh, thank you so much. Like, look at him, role model. Like, he's so
Right.
great. This
He
and
was
that.
committed, for sure.
But
Yeah.
I never saw the bond. Like, I never saw that, like, that Claire would be with him.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like,
No, I didn't see
he was
that
very
either.
friend zoned in my eye.
Right, but in his mind, he was very committed, and he probably was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was completely different in his eyes and his perspective.
And then we have Chris, who tells the guys the good news. He says, "You guys, your journey isn't over."
Not
Do you like my
over.
Chris accent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that your journey is not over.
It's like a southern twist.
Your
to it.
journey-
Your journey is not over. If you choose to stay, you have till tonight to decide.
Dun, dun, dun.
Da-da-da.
And then that one guy was like, I guess he asked how long. he had to
Right. The
decide.
guy with the one-on-one date. I forget
yeah.
what's his
He's
name
like,
again.
because I'm Jason.
Jason.
Oh, Jason.
He's like, oh, I'm so shook up or shaken up, shook
Mm-hmm.
up.
Shook.
I think it's especially
so
hard
shook.
to remember the guys' names, given
Yeah.
that it's
Well-
all been about Claire
Yeah.
and Dale.
Yeah.
I just want to say
Blake,
that.
I
Claire.
had to wait to write down Jason's name because I was waiting for his card to come up
Oh,
on the
yeah.
screen. So
Cards are
that's how
very
I knew.
helpful.
That's
Yeah.
how I knew it was him.
They don't do a lot of cards this season. Like usually they do it every time they talk, right? Am I wrong?
Have they been skipping
every
out on
time.
cards? It depends on how often they speak, or the first time you've
Yeah.
seen them in a while, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
So the guys have to show up to the first.
wait, hold
first
on,
night.
hold on. Before we talk about that, can we just like go back to their facial expressions and how happy they were?
Oh yeah.
Some of them were
Especially,
really
he's like-
excited. Like Easy was so excited.
The guys who clearly didn't have a connection with her were so happy,
Oh my
and they were
gosh,
like,
like-
"Blessings
Yes.
upon me."
Yeah. But then of course they're like, am I going to be attracted to her? Like, who is this person? Like there's only one person, and what if I'm not even attracted
Yeah.
to
And
her?
I was just like, in my mind,
You're
I was
going to
like,
be
"It's Tayshia,
attracted to
you're
her.
fine.
You're
You're
good.
fine. You'll be fine.
You're fine. Don't worry about it."
But yeah, they all had their fresh start, and they I don't think anyone left. No one left.
That's
No,
also
they all showed up.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Even Jason.
yeah, and they're like,
Yeah, we'll try it. Why not? Get a little more airtime.
They wanted to make it look like this is really hard for me
Yeah.
to move on.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
more
but, like,
vacation.
whatever.
I'll stay.
Rumors has it as Tayshia.
Yeah.
Guess I'll stay.
Yeah.
But I had such a connection with Claire, barely.
I loved how Tayshia got out of the car when looking stunning.
Oh my
But
gosh, it gave me chills.
I know.
She's so pretty.
She's just like, duh. Yeah. And I loved how she said, like, I felt like I might have been punked. Like, this doesn't
yeah.
feel real. I would 100% feel the same way. Like,
Yeah.
this is a joke. Like, I'm not really doing this.
Or-
This is,
I know.
Chris says, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "I don't know."
She's like,
don't
"Oh,
know.
you told me.
I'm in a dress. What's next? Yeah, the whole thing is like, all right, go.
Yeah.
Next, Tayshia.
I can't imagine how nervous she must be, like walking into that, 'cause she doesn't know the relationship that those guys might have
Yeah.
had with Claire.
Yeah, that's got to be such a hard position to be in.
But I did a little bit of the spoiler that I did watch. Okay, we're gonna
Okay,
jump
so
to that real quick.
spoiler alert.
Okay.
No, well, not the spoiler, but like the
Oh.
teaser. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Chris says, something, or it's like there's more or something like that. But wait, there's more.
Tayshia, unfortunately, everything is about to change.
Okay. Oh.
So they're bringing Tyler C back.
I hope they do. I miss him.
You know, there's something we didn't, or I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
He said, did he say like we're changing things up? Like
yeah,
it's going to be
you're
different.
probably quoting it better than I am.
Yeah.
But
he said something like we're changing. This isn't going to work, or we're changing it up, or something.
Right.
Something dramatic.
And in my mind, that means, but wait, here comes some more guys.
You think?
Which would be nice because she's kind of get the bad end of the stick of just getting thrown in with a bunch of guys who are.
Then again, if
not
they
even like
do
leftover
bring,
guys, just guys who are already committed with this past relationship.
Yeah.
If they do bring guys in though, quarantine. They have to be quarantined again.
I'm sure
they
they're
must know all this stuff.
Well, they probably quarantined the team at the same time Tayshia was quarantined.
Yeah, probably.
Like, hey,
So
you guys might
the
be
second
coming on.
the second they brought Tayshia in, they brought in 14 other guys.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
That's my guess. That's my
I
guess.
would hate
but
to
we
be
don't know.
planning, like be one of the planners of the show. Be like, crap.
I'd be so stressed out.
You'd have to have so many backups. So many just, if this happens, we gotta have backup.
And still all the behind the scenes people are still wearing masks. So quarantine or not, who knows?
Yeah, a little weird.
Are they just trying to joke us right now?
Yeah.
Not that
They really joked us with that to be continued.
Oh yeah, that was just the worst. I actually yelled at the TV.
I hated that.
You yelled at the
I was like, "Are you talking?"
But then they kept
not a yeller,
going.
waiting this whole night.
They kept going with the episode though in a lot of ways. Like it showed
Yeah.
other things.
Yeah, I wish they didn't.
Not even
I kind of wish they didn't.
Yeah. Not even the spoiler alerts for next episode. They showed things from that.
If you're gonna say to be continued, don't show me teasers of like what's
Don't
gonna be
do that.
continued.
Yeah.
Rearranged your order there,
But yeah, I was pretty much okay when I first watched the show yesterday. I was like, okay, 30 minutes is all it's gonna take before we get to Tayshia. In my mind, before I knew it was gonna be like not this episode, but next week's episode that Tayshia was gonna be. But I was watching, I was like, okay, 30 minutes, Tayshia's gonna be on. An hour, okay, Tayshia's gonna be on in an hour. An hour and a half, definitely now an hour and a half. And it's like literally like an hour and 58 minutes left. And it's like, okay,
and then she comes out
Tayshia.
of the limo.
And then it goes to be continued. And I'm like, okay. I'm offended right now.
So next week we will definitely see Tayshia, and I'm so excited.
she's gonna be great.
I've been waiting for this.
But they also teased that they're going to be showing a lot of like Claire and Dale Tells All.
That's true. We've got a lot to look forward to next
is it going to be 2 hours of Tell All or an hour and a half Tell All and 3 minutes of Tayshia again?
Oh, I better not be.
Oh my gosh. I just want to see Tayshia. That's all I care about.
Right. But another fun thing is we're getting this episode much sooner because this week's episode was late. Now we get Tuesday where it's going to be playing. So it's a much shorter distance.
So we'll be back soon, you guys.
Welcome to Tell All, an hour and 45 minutes of Claire and Dale talking to each other.
I wonder where they are right now. It would be interesting to know how their relationship's been.
Yeah, well, we should bring the realtor back to ask Claire where she's from. So you're like from.
So I found out where you're from.
I researched.
I googled you.
Because this is where I got kicked off. I finally figured it out. Oh, bless him. Well, maybe we'll see him next episode.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope he's brought back, even though Jade's not really into it. But
He just seems like a player.
it is. You think so?
Yeah.
What? But he's such a bad talker. How can he be?
I don't know. Maybe he's just not my
Okay,
my type.
you get it. That makes sense.
I would agree.
Or maybe he's just not good on camera, so you can't see his true personality.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe it's hard to
tell.
He could be a grocery store Joe. Just freezes on camera.
He could be. Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
I just want Tyler C back. I want to see Tayshia.
Yeah.
And I hope to see a couple new guys.
What if Yosef comes back? The guy who was anti-Taylor C.
They should not allow that man back on this.
I bet
franchise.
he's
Would
gonna go
every guy in the house just
to create
tell
drama.
Tayshia right away, get rid of Yosef?
Get him out. Yeah.
I don't think any of those guys would put up.
Do you think they're actually going to bring him back at all at any point? Because of all the drama that he caused? I doubt it. I think that would be bad.
I think that it would. Well, it would be good for the show.
It'd be
I don't
good for
know.
the
It's
show
just
for
like
drama,
it's just
but-
like old drama. Like we're already over
If
it.
they do bring him on, they're 100% going to have like some backstory of him apologizing and be like, I was in a very stressful situation. Like I was in a hard time of life, but I'm a new man. You
After
know?
14 days
and
in
then
quarantine.
He goes, yeah.
So that's it for this episode, guys. Follow us on This Is Not a Date podcast.
Don't forget to catch us next week as well.
And you can listen on Apple Podcasts and all other platforms.
All right. Bye.
Bye.